Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is, Gateway's got it. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM-certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a car dealer who makes things easy and convenient. And guess what? Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. 3, schedule your delivery. And on top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can find them online at gatewaybuickgmc.com or visit them in person at LBJ and Jupiter. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. And welcome into another episode of The Mom Game, episode number 99.
The Gretzky episode.
The Gretzky episode. I love it. I'm Emily Jones. She is Julie Dobbs. For the 99th time.
99th time.
We are bringing you The Mom Game.
Isn't that crazy?
So
what
crazy.
What have we talked about for 99 episodes?
A lot of shit. A lot of stuff. A lot of random things. A lot of fun things. A lot of crazy things.
I know, because like we've talked about, our show life is pretty much pandemic.
Oh, it's so pandemic.
Life. It's like we started right before.
I mean, remember the time I did a show from a horse trough in my driveway?
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
That was good.
It was amazing.
That was good.
It was amazing.
Yeah, we've had lots of great guests, all of that, which we can get into next week and reminisce a little bit more.
I'm super excited about 100. We have a really, really, really special guest.
I know.
2 of them to be exact.
That's right.
And so anyway, I'm just so excited. We won't give any hints.
No.
I'm pretty sure they're confirmed, but you just kind of worry.
Yeah.
You've got a high profile guest coming in that maybe.
Yeah.
I wonder if
I think this one's a little different.
Right. Yes, very much so.
I think he'll keep his word.
Yeah. We will give you this hint. It's a couple. It's a couple. And that's all we can tell you.
That's all we can tell you.
That's it. Because I'm trying to think of another hint, but I'm afraid it would give it away. So
yeah.
Yes.
Multi-talented.
Yes. Successful on and off the field.
That's right.
One of those.
Oh, you said field.
There's lots of fields.
That's true. Okay.
So we've eliminated hockey. It's not Wayne Gretzky.
It's not a court.
Or court. Okay. All right. Enough. I'm not saying anymore. It's me and my big. I was not. I'm sorry.
But this is fun because last week we were talking about how we hoped to have a big guest and you were not feeling it. And I said, Emily, just stick with it.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. This is going to happen. And I think it's going to be perfect.
I do too.
Yeah. So no, looking forward to that, and still just can't believe that this crazy little thing has made it 100 episodes and that people aren't tired of us yet.
I know. I mean, I think some people probably are tired of us, but there's other people
They're not listening.
when they get tired of us, become not tired of us. And so, or other people, I feel like we're good at our replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're tired of you, but we'll add other people who aren't tired of you.
Exactly.
And we are also rolling out some new things, we're gonna try. We're 100 episodes into this thing, 99.
It's about time we figure this out.
We've really never been very organized. Which
not with our on camera or like
right.
Yes.
So it's almost, but we don't want to take that away because we feel like that's a lot of our
allure.
That's our authenticity. That's our. I mean, we're self-proclaimed shit shows. Like
I stand by that.
We've got a lot going on. And so sometimes we just come in here and maybe sometimes we have a plan and then we don't stick to it, which I'm not saying we're always going to stick to a rundown or whatever, but we're kind of trying to integrate some things like staples of our show that you can count on, regardless of if we have a guest or not. That you're always going to get Julie and I shooting the shit for a little bit, and you're going to get a few segments. And these could change, but these are just the ones we're workshopping. So please give us feedback if you want. But we're going to stick with sports scorts. That's been a pretty big staple for us so far. And then what's on your feed, which is a new one. And then the TMG News Desk, which is I think we talk news and stuff, but we're gonna try to.
We'll bring like maybe an article we've found that we want to dig deeper into. It could be something as wonderful as the Kourtney Kardashian candle that smelled like her
vagina.
Well, it was supposed to smell like her orgasm.
That's right.
I still don't like saying that word or that word.
There was one episode where you said the vagina 800 times.
But it was with the doctor. Right? I felt like
she's an OB-GYN, so she's familiar.
She said that word is the same as elbow to her.
I'm sure it is.
Yes.
I'm sure it is.
So yeah, like we'll bring a fun article or an article that we think can invoke a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
That maybe people are talking about. And we have one for later on in this show too. So yeah, we're going to give it a little bit of structure. Yes. And then I think also maybe we'll name it something better, but the TMG Lounge when we have a guest.
Yeah.
So, that'll just be a little bit.
We're working on new studio space.
New studio space that could actually be a lounge.
Yes. So we've got a lot of things working, and we're grateful to those of you who have not gotten tired of us, or even if you did get tired of us, came back. So thank you guys for going on this journey with us. 100 is going to be really cool next week. Super, super excited about that. But in an effort to keep us at our word, let's start with Sports Scorts, brought to you by a brand new sponsor. And I'm so excited about this one.
I am too.
Because I've been experimenting.
Me too.
And it's Early Bird.
It is Early Bird. And we're putting them early in the show.
Yeah.
For Early Bird.
Absolutely. Well, and they're a new sponsor. We want to roll out the red carpet.
They're debuting.
Yes, absolutely.
So one of the things I always say about our sponsors is I love how these things kind of come to us naturally. And it's usually something that really fits into our life. And this one I feel does the exact same. So Early Bird is CBD gummies, Emily. CBD is I feel like the hot button topic for the last couple of years. And I know for me, I hear about it and you hear all the magical, wonderful things it can do, but I never really, I guess, fully understood, nor did I really try any of it out, outside of for maybe a moisturizer on my face or something like that. So this one's really cool to me because I feel like Early Bird is doing something with their CBD gummy products that maybe nobody else is really doing.
And what it is that they've taken, because I'm not big in the gummy space either.
Yeah, I'm not big in the gummies
there. But there have been times when I've gone to places where the gummies are illegal, pot gummies or whatever. I don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
And you go to a dispensary and pot, whatever. And so, I've kind of given those a little bit of a try. And with those, it's you can take them if you want to sleep or if you want to go party or what, I don't know. They're all different. It's a science. With these, they're in the Early Bird gummies. There is a microdose of THC designed to make you feel good. So they're all the same. You're not getting different. You could use this for this. It's all just kind of to give you a nice little relaxing buzz. And I tried them because we said we're not going to do this if we don't try them, like them, understand them, or whatever. And so I will tell you, I tried one the first time because I didn't want to. They always say just because if you're not really familiar, it's good to just try one. And so I tried one, and it was like, okay, well, this is good. I like it. I like the way it feels. But then one night I was like, I kind of want to see what two would be like. Like I was kind of stressed out about some stuff, and I was like, I just want to sleep. I just want to relax. And so I popped a couple, and then poured a glass of wine. Yeah, got in bed, and I was like,
slept like a baby.
My gosh, it was awesome. Yeah. And so I'm in. I'm in on Early Bird. I'm thankful they're with us, and I'm glad to have been kind of exposed to this,
it's something kind of new for us.
Method of relaxation and chill. Yeah. I need some chill in my life. And I feel like
we both do.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. We'll talk about a little bit more
as exhibited on our last couple of shows.
Yeah, this
is good timing for the gummies.
We're going to get to therapy later. Julie and I had therapy. We're going to get to that later. But yeah, so we're super stoked to have them on board.
We are. And my experience has been kind of the same as you. I was excited about hearing this because if you've been listening to our show, you've heard me talk about just the gnarly hangovers from drinking, not huge amounts, little bit, that I had been kind of dealing with. And it just is debilitating. And I don't know, it just makes you feel really bad about life the next day. But sometimes you do just need to let loose, especially once you get those kids to bed and you have a little bit of mom time, dad time, whatever it may be. And I think this is maybe the perfect answer for me personally. And I've tried them. I haven't done two yet. I've had
might want to try.
I know. I need to try.
But just be sure you're not. I mean, it's
like when I'm
be
lounging on the
driving.
couch.
You shouldn't be doing any of that.
Exactly.
This is relaxed time.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's a relaxed time that I think we all need. People love these CBD gummies, from young professionals to moms like us, retired age people who are just, you're retired? Damn. I'm going to try everything.
Yeah.
Try it all.
Yeah. And they gave us a discount code. So if anybody wants to try it, the discount code is TMG. It's good for 20% off a new customer's first purchase. Just go to earlybirdcbd.com/TMG and it will automatically apply that discount. So we're super stoked to have them on board.
And we'll put that in our link tree on our Instagram and everything too, because that's where we put links that our sponsors give us. So you can get that 20% discount for these early bird CBD gummies. They're based out of Austin, but we're excited about helping them kind of expand to Dallas too.
Yeah. So welcome to the family,
Yay!
Early Bird. Thanks for the buzz.
Thanks for the buzz.
Okay.
The happy buzz.
Yes. So Early Bird CBD bringing you sports squirts today.
That's right.
Where should we start?
Well, I guess we can break down a little bit of the NFL action that happened over the weekend, because that's the top story in sports right now. We know who's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. The Bengals and the Rams.
The Bengals and the Rams.
Bengals.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah. And I'm super, I was rooting for the Chiefs because I love Pat Mahomes. Henry, my son, was terribly upset at the outcome of this game. But, life goes on, and it is nice.
Oh, was it hit him hard? Is he that hardcore?
He's pretty hardcore. He's just not a very good loser.
Yeah.
Whether it's him or a team that he likes, he's not, we're still trying to master that. And
it's hard.
Yeah. So yeah, he was not pleased with the outcome of that game, but I think it's cool to get Cincinnati in there. Joe Burrow is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
And he's got that right amount, because he's
swagger.
cocky. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he's got that, but it's almost like he's got the perfect amount where he's still super likable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that he's able to pull off that balancing act of still being this total cold-blooded killer on the field and a total swaggy badass, he's still super, super likable.
Is it Tom Brady-esque? I mean, I think he's a little bit more
out there.
Yeah, gaudy with it.
Yeah.
Even the way he dresses and granted, okay. So this is how old is he? 20 something. He's young. And then all of a sudden you get all this money and fame and fortune.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe it'll tone down as he continues in the NFL. Maybe you'll act a little bit more like you've been there before.
Right.
No offense to Joe Burrow. But he has every right to flaunt it and to be cocky. And he is, I think, what seems like probably exceeding a lot of people's expectations in the NFL.
And I think that it helps his cause, the fact that he plays for a team that's been terrible.
Yep.
Recently.
That's been terrible. And that's an hour and a half away from his hometown.
Yes.
Which is really cool up in Ohio. I don't know. I know one, I mentioned him already. I know one Bengals fan, Scott Tomlin from the Dallas Mavericks, who was kind of Dirk's right-hand man throughout his whole career and was one of our good friends who was in our wedding. And just seeing the joy in him and knowing that's how all of these Bengals fans feel, I was excited. Down the stretch, it was the same deal. I feel like I need to root for Kansas City, but then I find myself not rooting for Kansas City because somehow they've gone from that team that made it all the way, won a Super Bowl when they were the underdog, to now they're not an underdog anymore. And that's when I kind of start moving on, looking for the underdog.
Right.
That's how I am. So I was happy to see Cincinnati pull it off, especially with the way it ended in overtime, because when they lost the coin toss, you're thinking, there's no chance.
Yeah. And super stoked to see Matt Stafford.
Yes.
Highland Park kid, just toiled in Detroit for so long, and to see him get a shot at the Super Bowl. So I think it'll be fun to watch regardless. I think it's great to get new blood in there, and I'm definitely not complaining about anything.
No, I feel like the storylines are there and the quarterbacks are there that I think the league probably wants to be there. Guys with good people with good stories.
Sure.
I thought it was funny. We talked about Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, and I love the study on the NFL wife and how they are treated in the media and in the way their story's told based on, I guess, maybe how their husband's doing, how that team is doing, et cetera, et cetera. I remember Kelly Stafford, that's her name. She looks precious. Of course, they all are. whenever he tested positive for COVID, she tested positive for COVID. It was up in the air because she posted on Twitter about how frustrated she was that it got out that he had tested positive before, like she was able to tell family.
Right.
Because that was back when it was like,
was still a thing.
It was like, oh my God, they have COVID, like that. And so she kind of got a bad rap, I feel like, with she puts a lot out on social media and everyone was like, oh, we feel so bad for you, blah, blah, blah. Well, at the end of last night's game, it was like, she was there giving the big hug and the media was her best friend.
She had like a giant brain tumor. Like,
and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
So then they start telling that story and like, isn't this a wonderful, like not end, but it's a great story because of everything she's been through. And I'm like, a year ago, everyone was being so mean to her because of this post she did on social media about COVID. But now it's like, let's go back to and that sounds maybe a little bit morbid of me, but that's just the way that I look at things sometimes. I'm like, wait a second. The media just spins whatever story they want. And now that he's, going to the Super Bowl with his new team and he's that nice, likable quarterback, good old boy kind of thing, like, let's talk about this aspect of his wife and show the big embrace. And it's all so silly. Like, obviously they're good people and I'm super happy for them, but like, come on, media, like let's just tell the story like it is. Yeah, that will never happen. But
unfortunately, that's just the way of the world.
That's just the way of the world.
Okay. So stars.
Yeah. I was going to say, who do you think's going to win?
Well, we've got next week.
Okay.
I need to formulate my thoughts.
Oh, and our guest could weigh in.
This is true. Okay. Stars. Are they up and down?
Yeah, but yeah.
Better
so
lately?
It's funny because you asked that question and what I was going to say is like, well, they went on the road.
Yeah, they won
and
three
they won
on the road.
3 on the road. Yeah. And then they came home and that was a little bit of, they haven't been like super good at home. So it was a little bit of a question mark if they could carry that momentum into the AAC. And that's the game that I took my kids to. And it was a 5-1. I think it ended up being terrible loss, just a big thud. And it was funny because we sold our tickets, or not sold, we gave our tickets out last night because I couldn't go. And I was telling the people I gave the tickets to, I was like, just watch, they're going to have a really good game. I was like, this team, for whatever reason, they're very back and forth. And I don't want to say it's just right now. It's kind of been like this for the past, 3 to 5 years, in my opinion. But after they come out and lay an egg, they come out like their ass is on fire. And they did that last night at home. So that was a good game for the team that they needed. And I think what was nice in that game, they were playing Boston, who's a good team, is that you were able to see a little bit more of that depth scoring that the team has been wanting to see. Tyler Seguin scored 2 goals last night. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Tyler. He's 30.
Happy birthday, Tyler.
I know.
He's 30?
Yeah.
God love him.
He's 30. But his goal scoring is coming back. It's coming around. And he scored 2 last night. Jamie Benn scored. Alexander Radulov scored. So those are the guys that you really need to pick it up because you've been lucky enough to find a top line led by Joe Pavelski and Jason Robertson and Rope Hintz that have been like one of the best lines in the league. They've been leading the way. So it's like, okay, cool. Now we need the depth scoring. But what you're seeing is a transfer of the big name guys are not the relied upon anymore. They're the depth scorers,
right.
which is interesting, right?
So how much time is left in how many more games are we talking about?
Oh, a lot. I keep thinking we're almost, I'm being very honest and real now. Yeah. It's like, but there's a lot. They have to, they play through like mid-April.
Okay.
And what month are we about to start? February?
We're in February.
We're in February now. February, they're going to have a little bit of a break. They're going to have the All-Star break this coming week. And Joe Pavelski is in the All-Star game and he gets to be captain of the All-Star game, which is really cool, representing the Central Division. His whole story is just awesome. But so they have the little break for the All-Star game. They're not going to be going to the Olympics anymore. So they'll get right back at it. And then like, instead of that 2-week break that the team was going to have, they have a 1-week road trip. So that's where I'm like, oh. So they're coming back and then they're on the road and then they're back home. March is very road heavy for the Stars, but that's bad for me, good for them because they've been pretty good on the road. Yeah. And I think they play a little bit better without all of the distractions and everything else. And that's when they're really going to need to buckle down and make a run. But if they win tomorrow night against Calgary, I think they will be in a playoff spot.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Mavs,
they're hanging in.
Mavs in not a similar situation. I feel like they've started to play. We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
They've started to play a lot better. where they've got about 30-ish. So they're more than halfway through their season. They've got about 30-ish games left. Playing well at home, but really they're kind of the opposite. They're struggling on the road.
Yeah. And they lost last night to Orlando. But outside of that, I went back and looked because you were right. I mean, they have been doing really well. They were 12-3 in January.
Yeah.
One of the best in the league. So I feel like there's a lot of promise there. And the book on Jason Kidd seems to be getting a little better. What people are saying about him, that maybe he has really found something with this team and the balance of offense and defense and how to use KP and Luka.
Especially on the defensive end. And I think it's hard to judge the Mavericks at this point in time because they just haven't had a whole lot of time with all their weapons on the court at one time. And you know what? That's part of it. And it might not happen. I mean, because of the way things are with COVID and injuries and all that kind of stuff.
It's sad because I feel like we've said that for a long time about the Mavs.
Yeah.
It's like, if we can just get KP and Luka really going together. So we'll see what happens, but definitely not something we're going to write off at this point.
For sure.
I'm excited to follow both of those teams down the stretch right now.
And they're in a good position. So it's nice since we, of course, don't have any Cowboys to keep us occupied. We also don't have any baseball to keep us occupied at this point in time because we are still in a lockout. I do feel like things are starting to progress. And I feel like now that the calendar has switched to February, things will start to accelerate because you're talking about usually 2 weeks from now, pitchers and catchers are showing up. And so it's starting to feel like there's a sense of urgency. We had the Hall of Fame results and announcement, only David Ortiz. I could go on for 800 hours about what I think is wrong with the voting process with the Hall of Fame. And it's not like there's a ton. Actually, I couldn't. I basically have one thing.
Yeah.
Why former players are not allowed to participate in this process is completely beyond me.
Yeah,
and
I didn't realize that.
No, I mean, the fact that a bunch of sports writers, which I know people who have votes who don't cover baseball anymore, but they're still voting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And it's only writers, can't be broadcasters. How about former players and managers have a say in this thing?
Right.
And I'm not saying if you had a cup of coffee in the big leagues, you should vote on the Hall of Fame. But let's say you had 10 years of service time. Absolutely, you should be able to vote in who goes into the Hall of Fame. You put in 10 years of service time to baseball, you absolutely should have a say, have a vote in who goes into that Hall of Fame. And just the steroid thing and all that bullshit, it's so tired head, and it's so many these voters taking it upon themselves to be the moral high ground of the sport. And it's so gaggy. Yeah. And it's just like, to me, listen, and in my opinion, if the players view it that way and the players are like, F no, I'm not voting for a guy who tested positive to steroids, fine. That's a player's prerogative. That's something. Those guys, I feel like they should be the ones that should be the moral authority and should have that option to say, yes, they should be in, or no, they shouldn't. And you're not going to have the same across the board, obviously, but they should be allowed to have a say in this thing.
Yeah.
Guys who have been tenured in this game and who have,
that seems crazy.
I mean, guys, like, you think about a guy like Michael Young, like, I think Michael Young would be such a responsible Hall of Fame voter. You know what I mean? He's not in the Hall of Fame, so he's not going to get that privilege. But for him to, you're talking about a guy who played over, I don't know, 10, 12, 13, a lot of years.
Yeah.
And, and takes a lot of pride in the game and all that kind of stuff. Like, guy like Ian Kinsler, I think he would be you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
They have a totally different perspective than the writers.
Not just writers. And then the fact that there's people out there voting and they don't even cover baseball anymore.
And they like to brag about the fact that they can vote. Do you think that the players feel that way?
I think players are highly annoyed by the way things are run. Yes. The fact that their whole, your Hall of Fame status is it's sitting.
It's not just some little award like a writer's award. It's the Hall of Fame. It's the greatest honor in sports.
Yeah. And what about, Eric Nadel? The dude's been covering baseball for 80 years, not 80, but Eric Nadel should have a Hall of Fame vote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. And I wonder too, with the evolution of the newspaper and websites, how do they even quantify who's a writer and who's not and who gets that, because now every blogger in the world.
Yeah. I don't know how the votes get divvied up. I don't know how
it'd be so easy to just change the rules because Newspaper isn't
everything's changed. Right.
What
but
it is,
I just,
what
it's
it
just,
was.
it's so, and I mean, it's not like it's not like, oh, give me a vote. I deserve to have a vote. No, the players, former players, former managers should absolutely have a say in who goes into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. You would
Without
think
a doubt.
that would make sense.
You would think.
I'm with you on that one.
Okay. That's done with sports scores.
We scored it.
We did. Scored it.
It
sounds gross.
It sounds gross. It sounds very much like scored it.
Okay. Next new segment.
Yes.
What's on your feed?
I like this one.
What's on your feed? And so this is an idea, like something on social media, whether it's our personal pages or something that we've seen on our feed, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, that we want to share with you guys.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be our feed, right?
No.
Our feed or somebody else's feed or just
something we've seen. Something we've seen on social media that we've thought that gave us a good laugh or made us think or whatever. And so our inaugural What's on Your Feed is courtesy of me. And it's courtesy of me putting on one of those VR headset Oculus things at my girlfriend's house in Lubbock. And it was her daughter's. And she was like, I was like, I want to try it. And the
video was one of the best things I've ever seen.
I'm sitting on a ottoman. Yeah. I know I'm in a living room on solid ground in Lubbock, effing Texas. We put this thing on, and I don't like roller coasters at all. And so I decided, but I was like, okay, they're like, oh, we'll put you on the one that's not so bad. Well, I think they were lying. It was bad. And so I put this thing on, and I literally, my heart rate I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
So was it like you're getting in the coaster? Was like every step of the process?
Nope, you start in the coaster.
Okay.
And then so you look, and then it starts going.
Jeez.
And we have the video to share. And so here's what it sounded like.
Oh my gosh.
Insert
I
video
really am
here.
going to be sick.
You remember
It's all. How much longer is this?
Okay. Insert video here. So that was 100% fear. 100%. Like
that does not look fun to me at all, Emily.
You're all over the place, and you feel like you're moving, but you're not.
Right.
And, you know, it's extremely wheels off.
It's really weird. It's a weird concept to me because it's so like, weird. So you can like essentially manufacture fear.
Yes.
To someone sitting in a living room just by showing them like. I would think the fear is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die if I go on this ride or whatever because I'm physically on the ride. But you know.
It's
weird.
It's so messed up. And so after 45 seconds, I literally am like, how much longer is this going to last? And Heather was like, you can just take it off. Like, we're not like, okay, you're right. I'm not going to fall out of the roller coaster if I take it off. But it is trippy. I mean, and my heart was beating really fast for a long time afterward.
Okay, so do people love these things?
Yes.
Like, and why?
And they say this is where like everything's going, like VR everything.
And then we can just all sit in our
VR
house.
duets and VR, all of it. Yes. Right? Yeah. I mean, I didn't go there, but that's what they're saying. Like, I think that's out there.
Is that the metaverse thing?
I thought that metaverse was Facebook.
Meta is the company. They're trying to change the name to Meta.
Right.
But I don't know. The metaverse is
I'm
actually like a virtual universe.
They're saying that, there's like
I just
a lot of stuff is moving in that direction.
And robots and everything else.
Robots.
Like, what is life going to be like for Anna?
I don't know. Bless her heart.
Like
we might blow up before then.
Is she going to have a boyfriend or is she going to have like a virtual boyfriend?
I know. AI. That shit freaks me out too. Artificial intelligence. Like I can't deal.
What is the metaverse exactly? I have to figure this out because I wanted to know. Simply put, the metaverse is a virtual reality world where users can interact, game, and experience things as they would in the real world.
Why don't they just experience them in the real world?
It hurts my brain.
I know. I can't do it.
It hurts my brain
it's
so much.
My head.
Using current AR and VR tech, they can immerse into this world and interact with overlaying objects and people in the visual projected in front of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm already asleep.
Me too, but I feel like this is happening.
It is. It's happening everywhere. But
we sound like old fogies.
So old. So hope you guys enjoyed me making an ass of myself sitting on ottoman.
That's something I don't want to do. I don't want to do that. That looks terrible.
If you have the opportunity to try it, I wish you would, just to see.
I don't want my heart to start racing. It's like I have enough things in life that freak me out.
Do it for the soch.
Do it for the soch.
Do it for the soch.
Because the videos are amazing.
Oh
People
my
just
gosh.
look like the biggest idiots.
Idiots.
The biggest idiots.
Okay, so that is it for What's on Your Feed.
What's on Your Feed, which is brought to you by Bottle Rover this week.
That's right.
And I've been, I guess, stocked up, but I still want to use Bottle Rover because it's something that I feel like is so useful in all of our day-to-day lives because they are your go-to alcohol delivery app. We use our apps for everything. Why not use an app? Use your phone for alcohol delivery. They make it easier than ever to search for your favorite liquor, beer, or wine on demand based on your location. So they'll find a store that has what it is that you're looking for in stock near you. So it's not going to take long at all for them to get it straight to your doorstep. When you talk about things evolving in life, like I don't want to be in the metaverse, but I do like the apps that bring me things.
Yes. And we're about to have, I don't know where everyone's listening from, but in the DFW area in Texas, shit's going to get pretty real this week as far as the weather is concerned. You ain't going to want to be getting out.
And you're not going to want to get out.
And you are going to want to be having a cocktail.
Don't be snowed in without booze.
Exactly.
Use Bottle Rover. They are now offering free delivery. So like there's really no catch in this whole thing. And that's what I love about it. Free delivery on all orders over $35, which is easy to hit that number. So how to use it, go to bottlerover.com or you can download the app. It's available on iOS or Android. It's available on your phone. Just search in Bottle Rover. Search for your favorite beer, wine, or spirits from 100 local stores across the country. Shop their live inventories. Add your favorite things to your cart. Schedule your order for pickup or delivery. Then you get to pour a glass and say cheers. Thank you, Bottle Rover.
Thank you. Thank you.
If there's one thing on this podcast, we're going to teach you how to make enjoying yourself easy.
Yes.
With our sponsors.
Enjoying your time.
Yes, exactly. Make the most of our time.
Okay, so that is the end of the What's in Your Feed. Now we're on to the TMG News Desk. I couldn't talk. All right, TMG News Desk.
So the TMG News Desk, and sometimes the TMG News Desk will be cray-cray, and sometimes it might be something that's pretty thought-provoking, and this one is to me. So I saw this article, and we see a lot of things on. There's so much information coming at us all the time, right?
Yes.
Like I can't
Not just us, everyone, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Everybody with social media these days, it's like this article looks good. This article looks good. But this one I really wanted to read because one, it was coming from Kate Hudson, and I love her.
She's adorable.
She's adorable. And she has a son named Ryder, which is funny. I didn't even know that when I named my son Ryder. But then she also has, I think with a second marriage, I don't know, third marriage, I don't know. She has a very young little girl too. I was going to say Birdie, but I think that might be Jessica Simpson's young. I forget the little girl's name. I can't either. They all have those cool names that I would never give my kids, but they're cool because they do it and they're celebrities. So she's a mom of three. Her mom is Goldie Hawn. I think they're both precious and awesome, and they're fun people to follow along with. And Goldie Hawn wrote this op-ed to something that she felt was really important and that needed to get out there. So I'm like, okay, well, I like these people and I like Goldie Hawn. And if Goldie Hawn's feeling this way, oh my God, this is the same way that I'm feeling once I started reading the article. And it's all about, if you just search like Goldie Hawn op-ed, you can find it. It was in USA Today. So it's an opinion piece that she wrote, and it's about how COVID trauma is hurting a generation of kids. The headline says, "We've failed them as a nation. We will survive the COVID pandemic, but I'm not sure we can survive an entire generation whose collective trauma sends them hobbling into adulthood." So I feel like the big focus with COVID is like, the science and keeping your kids safe and making sure they do this and making sure they do that. And do you have the proper mask? And are they allowed to go to school? How many days do they need to quarantine? And I know people are looking out for this side of things, but I too kind of agree with Goldie Hawn here that maybe we're not looking out for our kids' mental state enough. And maybe this is something that was happening even before COVID, but now with COVID, it's like I see it in my kids. I especially see it in my almost 7-year-old son who's old enough to think about things, and he's a very deep thinker and he's very sensitive. And I told you when we went to get the COVID vaccine, he like flipped out and ran across the room and hid. And like, the more I think about it, I'm like, this poor guy just has like so much anxiety about COVID and being sick and what everybody's talking about. And so has COVID. My 3-year-old who can barely talk's talking about COVID. She's like, so-and-so had COVID today, you know, and it hurts me. It really hurts me to see how it's taking on a life of its own and like manifesting in these little tiny kids the way it is. I posted, I try to like make a light of a lot of these things. Like I posted like my daughter saying, blah, blah, blah. I wish I could keep you forever, but you're going to die, right? That's continued. Like she talks about death a lot. She's 3.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Goldie Hawn's talking about, how when she was younger, in 1956 during the Cold War, this is how it starts off, where the teacher rolls in a TV, you know, when you get to watch a movie in class and that big TV, the giant TV on the roller. Yes. And so they blast on this video about Cold War and what it's going to look like if the enemy attacks. And it's like moms carrying babies, blood, crying. And she was young, she was in school, and she hasn't forgotten about this video. And that's kind of what sparked this conversation to her, because she had that moment when she was younger. It was the Cold War then, and it's been 9/11. It's been different things throughout time that kids are being forced to see because you can't protect them from seeing everything. But then it's like, okay, we can't just know that this is happening with our kids. They're seeing all these terrible things.
And then act them to be unaffected by it.
And then and ask them to not be affected by it and not take the time and resources to invest in making sure that they're okay as they move forward in life.
And I think it's at different ages, it hits them differently. Like, I mean, you think about teenagers who are so, you know, a lot of them, at least before the pandemic, so reliant on like social interaction and that, you know, that whole rite of passage and school and all those things. And then already a lot of that being stripped away just because of social media, and that interaction, you know, was already on the decline. And then you take it away from them completely. And it's like, then they're relying that much more on the social media aspect and over analyzing things. And yeah, it's terrifying. I mean, it, you know, and I think at some point we have to say, right. Like you were saying, we have to make this a priority to like, instead of just saying, because I remember saying this all the time and you hear it a million times, especially during the pandemic. Oh, kids are resilient. They'll be fine. Kids are resilient. Yeah, to an extent they are, but that doesn't mean they're always going to be that way about every single thing, and that they can just handle whatever because they're kids and they're young enough and they're not going to remember.
Look how crazy it's made adults.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Because, and we know better than to like, to look down or shame. We should.
Yes. Yeah, we should.
That's the word I'm missing.
Right. Exactly.
We should know better. Like kids are learning from these parents that are all going a little bit crazy because of all of this and are getting in all these mask wars and whose thoughts are right and how the school's handling it versus how they should be handling it, when it's like generally nobody really knows what's right about all of this yet. It's a brand new thing and everybody's trying their best. But I think it's one thing that that really like hit home with me, and that I feel like we need to remember is just talk to your kids about it. And in my house, I'm not doing it right, but I try to keep the conversation about it to a minimum. It's like they're dealing with it enough. I don't want them to hear us talking about it all the time. I don't want them to hear my mom, who's a grandparent, talking about how she's worried about it. Because what about the kids worrying about hugging their grandparent?
Right.
Because they go to school. Like that, nothing makes my heart break more than thinking about that. You know, and people saying, well, I'm just not ready to go to a concert yet and blah, 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 blah. And like, if they're around my kids, I'm like, can you not? Because I'm trying not to get this in my children's head, and I just want them to be kids, and I just want them to live their life as normally and as happy as they can. This is one of the lines from it that I highlighted because I felt like it hit home as well. It says, kids are afraid of people, spaces, even the air around them, a level of constant fear not seen in decades. In early 2021, emergency room visits in the United States for suspected suicide attempts were 51% higher for adolescent girls and 4% higher for adolescent boys compared with the same time period in early 2019. So you look at the sample size post-pandemic to pre-pandemic, and it has 51% higher for girls, adolescent girls. So it says here, the CDC and doctors all agree that this is something that's gone to a state where this is something that is a I forget what they called it, like an emergency state basically for the mental health of kids.
And I think everybody, just like with any other parenting decision, you have to do what's best for your house, for your family, and so if that's what you're like, I totally respect that. If you're like, we're not talking about COVID unless we, it's directly whatever you set out, then that. I think now 2 years into this, like that's your prerogative. Like we've done all the things, like I've gotten the vaccine.
Your kids are older.
Like, and so we try not to talk about it either. Like we are living our lives as normal. We got the COVID a few weeks ago. We were sick for a couple days. We did what the school asked us to do, and then we moved on. And so we're not, we're doing everything as normal. And if you're not, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But at this point in time, I think it's just everyone should have that right to do whatever they feel is best for their family and handle it the way they see fit.
Yep, I agree. And I think generally we have that stance on, everything, on most things.
True.
There's no right and wrong, but I did like that somebody as powerful or as influential, I guess, as Goldie Hawn with a voice
like
in the platform, wanted to take the time to write that. And it was cool. It was really like well written. And she does have a foundation where she's like working to do something about this. She's founder and CEO of Mind Up for Life, the signature program of the Hawn Foundation, a public charity with a mission to equip children with the social and emotional skills they need to lead smarter, healthier, happier, and ultimately more productive lives.
And then there'll be people out there that, who's Goldie Hawn? Tell her to shut up, that old broad.
Well, maybe they know Kate Hudson.
You know what I mean? Whatever. But it still doesn't matter.
Or maybe they know Ryder.
If the celebrity that you are, doesn't agree with you and your platform, your thoughts and their beliefs don't align with yours, we just go to like the discrediting. Who's she anyway? She's not a doctor or whatever, and then she's trying to do something good with this nonprofit foundation. Like, for fuck's sake, can we just acknowledge that we're not all going to think
you might not love LeBron, but he does a lot of really good in the world, in the community. So that goes for every celebrity, right?
Absolutely.
Who's actually trying to make a difference and not the keyboard warriors that are not.
So annoying.
I will say, I think we can do one more thing on the show, and I'm just saying this, we haven't discussed it, but for maybe one more segment, I think we can call it, and we don't have to do it every show, but TMG, we can name it something different, but what just came to my mind was TMG stick taps. So something that we want to give a positive accolade for, or something out in the world that like, I don't want to dwell on negative and not have a positive. That's how I operate. So all of this, and this is gonna be my first TMG stick taps.
Okay.
And we could say different things like celebration for football, whatever, but stick taps is hockey.
Okay.
I just want to give a huge shout out to teachers because I'm hearing,
God bless them.
I'm hearing like we sent out a thing. It's like, I didn't send it out. I'm not the room mom, but I was on the receiving end of something that's like, let's bring a little something extra for our teachers this week. Everyone pick a day, bring her like her coffee or whatever. And then I heard from the teacher too, like just how hard this has been on the staff at schools and how hard they're trying to follow all the rules and also make sure that their kids aren't scared and, everything we just talked about, like they're dealing with that. We
and
can
dealing
say,
with
moving
parents.
on to this, we're going to move on from that. They can't. Like this is every day for them and dealing with parents. Dealing with the school board meetings and blah, 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 blah. Everybody is really trying their best and thank God for teachers and administrators. So that's my TMG stick tap for the week. Give your teacher a treat or give your teacher a hug. If you can.
Yes.
If they allow hugs.
Amen to that. Okay. We've reached the portion in the show.
Oh, we're here.
It's time to talk therapy.
Yes.
So if you've listened to the show the last couple of weeks, you have probably noticed a little bit of tension between Julie and I. And
which is weird.
So it is weird. But listen, this is going to happen.
I know.
Okay? This was not going to be the last time. Hopefully it won't happen a ton, and I don't think it will. But we had some tension, and it all started from some fucking blinds. And then it just snowballed. But so what it goes to show you is the smallest thing can snowball into something bigger, way bigger. And so what started out as a flippant comment by me, but anyway, we're not going to rehash it. But what it made me think about was just how differently people approach things. And I've said this a million times on this podcast, that we are shaped by our experiences. And none of us have had the same experiences. And so our viewpoints, our opinions, the way we look at things are not going to be the same.
Right.
Whether it's me and you, me and Joe Blow, we all come from different experiences that have shaped the way our thoughts are formed.
Yep.
And our opinions are made. And that's why we all react to things differently. And I was telling you, because I did feel bad, because I was like, and of course we played this up. I mean, that I'm the mean one and you're the nice one.
Yeah,
And,
it was all a joke at first.
right. Well,
That's
and
why
I
we
think,
posted about it on social media. I was
Right.
like, look at this silly fight.
yes, but we do have,
There was real.
we do have different personalities,
Yeah.
and we do have different ways that we deal with things.
Yeah.
And you are very much like my sister, and which is a huge compliment to you, FYI, because everyone loves my sister, loves her, and rightfully so. She's an angel on this earth. Like, I just have never met anyone she's so kind and she's so patient, and I mean, we would be in like class in high school, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're Sarah's sister," and I'd be like, "Yeah," and then like 2 weeks in, they're like, "You're nothing like Sarah," and I'm like,
You're like,
"Sorry." Yeah, I mean,
this is who I am.
right? And
Yeah.
so I think just my personality is very like, I mean, even in my marriage, we poke at each other all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, and that's the way it's the way we've always been. It's the way our family is. Like, it's just the way we roll. But like, sometimes my sister, like if you go that, direct, she gets a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And so couple that with the fact that basically that's just been my personality my entire life. And then you put me in a Major League Baseball clubhouse for 15 years.
Yeah.
Longer than that, 18 years, almost 20 years. That's all I know is like poking and prodding and, clowning, and because in that world, that's a sign of respect, and that someone likes you if they're giving you the shit, if they're giving you the business.
Yeah, we talked about it with Ian Kinsler, and that was y'all's whole thing.
And so that's kind of been my whole thing is like, but not everyone's cool with that. Not everyone likes the whole, what the fuck are you thinking with those blinds? Not everyone likes the way, I'm very forward and very whatever, but I always say this too. I never do anything with like bad intent. Like, I'm never trying to hurt anyone. Like, if anything, I'm trying to get a laugh. I'm trying to start some conversation and some dialogue, and let's whatever. But I'm never doing it to be mean.
Yeah.
It's always like, let's cut up and have a good time. And so anyway, I just thought it was an interesting, kind of look at us. We were not best friends before this. In fact, we didn't spend a ton of time together.
No, we'd been to like a lunch or two, and then like, shot the breeze at work passing in the hallway. And like when I was sick, I remember you were so kind about it. I remember you just talking to me about it and checking on me and not forgetting all the crap I was going through. But you're right. We weren't like, okay, let's go out on Saturday night, or like, let's go to lunch and catch up. Like, it wasn't even really that. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you're right. So it's not like we know all of these things completely about each other. And thank you for saying all of that and like explaining your side. And I think what I said to you, because we almost like, just to pull back the curtain, it's like you almost hit a point where it's like, I can't wait to apologize. Like, I needed to apologize because I was in a weird like frame of mind, I think, whenever you made that little blinds jab, which shouldn't have been a big deal. And I obviously worked at the ticket. I can handle it. I'm getting jabbed all the time, but it was like, I was just tired from life, I think, a little bit. And I told you, it was like I have like a little bit of an insecurity maybe of like always being the one, you had you and your sister, and you each played your roles in whichever kind of relationship or setting I'm in, whether it's me and my best friend. She was like my best friend growing up. We're still best friends. I don't have a sister, so she's probably as close as I can come to the comparison that you made. I mean, she was like top 5 in our class. Giant school. She's a genius. She's brilliant. And I'm always like the fun loving, like kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say dumb. I don't think I'm dumb, but I
definitely not
I get
dumb.
that rap, like, and I do it and I embrace it. And I make dumb jokes. I made dumb jokes on the ticket all the time. I'm fine. I embrace my if I don't know something, I'm not going to hide it and pretend like I do.
Right.
Like I'm going to own it and be like, what the hell? How do chickens, like why do some eggs crack into a chicken and some eggs just make yolk?
Okay.
Like,
and you know what?
I don't understand.
Let's delve deeper into that because I don't understand either. So let's get to the bottom of that.
Yes.
We'll put that on the calendar for February. Like
we need an chicken expert.
Let's figure out chickens.
Yeah.
Okay?
But I'm like, you know what? And what I have found over time, even at the ticket, it's like a lot of people don't know this shit.
Right.
And a lot of people pretend like they do.
Yeah.
So my point being, it's like I've owned this kind of like whatever it is. It's not dumb, but kind of like it's silly, whatever.
I want to think of another word besides dumb. Dumb is not okay.
I know.
Because you're not dumb.
I know.
And you're,
I made decent grades.
Right. But it doesn't matter what fucking grade you made.
I know.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't.
Just being like if you've got, I don't know, like, I was going to say dumb and dumber. Like if the two guys, like, that's not right. But like, there's always like someone that's leading the way in a relationship and someone else that's just like, I don't know, making dumbass jokes.
What about flighty?
Flighty. That works. Flighty, flighty works. Just like a little bit, like loopy. Yeah. And I'm 100% that way and I know it. So anyway, I've always kind of been that person. And so when it came to the blinds and the damn background, like I was really trying.
I'm so sorry.
Like, I've really tried on every single one of my backgrounds since the mom game started. I'm not like choosing to do this the way I'm doing it. I just don't understand.
Oh my gosh, we need to get a Zoom.
I just don't understand how to make a good background. Yeah. And no one told me that in 2020 this pandemic was going to hit and so much of my life was going to be from a computer. I didn't go to training. I've never been told. You're the only one that's made an attempt to tell me how to do it properly.
Right.
So I think that I just like maybe have this complex where it was like, I'm trying my hardest and here's Emily coming at me and I don't know how to defend myself because I still don't know how to do it. And like my background still look really bad. So I was like, well, I'm going to fire right back at you.
Yeah.
So like, how do your kids handle you? And like, how does your husband handle you? You're just mean, It was all just like, so I felt like it was really good for us to have that conversation. Like, well, this is where I was coming from and this is where I was coming from.
Because it started 1 week and then it carried over the next week because I was trying to have this conversation and then that didn't go well. And then we were like, we need to take this offline.
Yeah.
Like we need to figure this out because this is not going to be, we're going to argue.
Yeah.
We're going to disagree.
Yeah. And that's
we're going to
fine.
get fired up. You're going to be, I'm going to.
We've had sports arguments and those don't linger.
No, because those aren't personal.
Right.
The blinds are a part of you.
The blinds are
personal.
Maybe I meant more than I realized when I said that.
But I'm just saying, I think like for me, in any relationship, whether it's a friendship or a marriage or, brother, sister, or, mom, daughter, whatever it is, you have to be able to talk about these things.
I know.
You have to be able to talk about them because it sucked for like 2 weeks. We were just kind of like, whatever. And we weren't,
like it was never going to grow into something major, but it was just
but it was just it was lingering.
Yeah.
And when things linger, then shit that really doesn't matter starts piling up and then it adds to the whole problem. And then before you know it, you're 6 weeks into this thing and you're off your game. And I feel like we have such a good thing going with our chemistry and how we are. And I love the fact that, I don't really think I'm mean. I can be forceful and
you're salt of the earth.
Be very aggressive. I can be, you know what I mean? But that's just, like I said, that's my personality. And I think that was an important conversation for us to have.
Yeah.
Like when we have these disagreements or whatever. And I need to be a little gentler. Like I need to be like, I should have not brought the blinds to the podcast. I should have talked about it with you offline, maybe, you know what I mean? And so all these things are learning processes for both of us. And it's not even just this relationship. It's every relationship.
Exactly. And that's why it's good to talk about this with everybody. Because you probably have somebody in your life like this, whether it's a friend or your spouse that you just have to figure out how to work together. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of the issue with marriages too, right?
Yeah. So
it's
Mike
like one person does something and then you stew on it and then you don't make up and you don't make up and you don't make up and then all of a sudden it's
you don't ever talk about it.
Yes.
And that's what Mike and I went to couples therapy a couple years ago. And like that, we had to learn how to fight.
Yeah.
Because what it was is we're both so busy and we would just like compartmentalize it. And then I'd be bitter about something and wouldn't say anything because I didn't want to take the time to mess with it. Same would go for him. And so we finally, she basically taught us how to argue, how to work through those things.
Yeah, because you're going to have things.
Yeah, please, are you going to have things?
Yeah.
Being in a relationship for any amount of time, relationships take work.
Yeah.
Friendships take work, all those things. Not a ton of work. Like it shouldn't be hard to be friends with someone, but you should also realize that there are going to be times when that relationship, that friendship needs a little extra TLC. And you have to be willing to acknowledge that. And you have to be willing to talk it out. And you have to agree that the way that you react to things is different than the way I react to things because we've come from different places.
Yep.
You've experienced different things than I have.
And I loved it.
Vice versa.
I loved it. I loved like having that conversation with you because it all made so much sense. Once we actually just sat down and talked about it, you know?
Absolutely.
So, that's another piece of advice. It's like, if you're dealing with something like that, just talk about it. Like, don't try to be the bigger person. Like,
don't try to be right. I mean, I will say this too. I learned it took me a while. Saying you're sorry used to be so hard for me.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'll just throw, I'm like, oh my God,
if I'm sorry,
so
I'll tell you.
Yeah. I had this it's a totally random story, but I had a girl on my wine team and she had some drama with a customer and the customer ended up placing an order under me and I forgot to tell her. And I just completely dropped the ball on this whole thing. And so I think her feelings were hurt because I really didn't communicate with her. And it was terrible. It was a terrible leadership. It was terrible. It just wasn't a nice thing. I mean, it just wasn't. And it wasn't like I was doing it on purpose. I just got busy and blah, blah. And then finally I'm like, we got to talk. And I was like, I completely dropped the ball on this. I am so sorry. I handled it terribly. And like me just basically owning everything. Like, I sucked in that situation. I'm really sorry. I hope that you will understand that there was no ill intent, and that I'm just sorry, and that I sucked, and I'm going to try to be better. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So there's something very liberating about saying you're sorry.
Exactly. And once you can get to the point where you can do that, I think a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's a weird like approach. It's like I've gotten more like that in my life where it's like I don't have time for all the back and forth and the subliminal messaging and this and that. It's like, let's just talk. Like, it's very cut and dry. Like, let's fix this, move on, whatever that may be. And I think you've influenced me a lot in that way too. And I like it because that's how you need to operate to be efficient as a person, and to stay sane and happy.
Yeah. And so we're
good.
We're good. We're good.
We're good.
Therapy. We did our own therapy. We had self-therapy and it worked.
It did. I think we talked about that book. My mom loves this book and she keeps telling me we need to like talk about it on the show, but they also have one for kids, which maybe it could be something if we ever do any sort of book, but the love languages.
Oh, yeah.
The love language book. And I think there's a love language book for kids too.
Oh, really?
Where you can read about like how your kid interprets this and blah, 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 blah. So that might be something just to put on the radar that we could do for TMG News Desk or not Sports Courts. Yeah, what's on your feed. I was also thinking to our rundown, we need a show to watch. So I think you and I should maybe come prepared, not next week because next week's big. Okay. Maybe the following. Try to convince each other of a show to watch and watch it.
So so there's a couple staples already for me. Yellowstone, Billions, Ozark. So those are three that Mike and I will watch together. And those are rare that we find shows that we like to watch together.
Which one do you think I would like the most? Because those all are shows that Kelly watches. And I don't usually like shows that Kelly watches.
I think you'd like Yellowstone.
Okay, I think so too.
I mean, it's a bit over the top, some of the characters. Yeah. It's still entertaining.
But there's like romance at least or comedy. Yeah. Like I'm all sporty and stuff, but I do like the romantic comedy type thing. I can't get into like Ozark really.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Kevin Costner in Carhartt is also.
I know you love him.
Quite yummy.
I know
we've talked about this before. It's kind of a problem.
We keep coming back.
I know we do keep coming back to it. And then another one I started watching, and this is the power of social media. So I see a clip of Peyton Manning on Saturday Night Live.
I saw that.
Talking about Emily in Paris.
I saw that. I
am 8 episodes in.
You are watching Emily in Paris?
To God. I'm watching Emily in Paris. Are you?
Yeah. So are you on season 1 or season 2?
I'm on season 1. Okay. Episode 8.
I love that you're watching Emily in Paris.
It's so out of my personality.
I know.
It's not my personality at all. But it's not like Peyton Manning was actually talking about he was talking about Emily in Paris.
He was doing a bit.
He was doing a bit. I don't think he's watching Emily in Paris. But it made me want to watch. I was like, oh, I need a show to watch. I'm going to watch Emily in Paris.
It's very mindless. It's
so mindless.
It's like so cheesy, you know.
So cheesy.
But it's cute.
It's cute.
And Lily Collins, I think, is precious.
Is that the girl?
Yes.
She's adorable.
Phil Collins' daughter.
Stop it.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, so
Why do
nepotism.
rich, famous people just keep getting richer and famouser?
But she is precious.
She is precious.
She's precious, and the show's really cute.
Okay, and you know who I think is the hottest guy on there?
Gabrielle?
Oh, Antoine,
the one that's dating the boss, kind of.
Yes,
banging
Sylvie.
the boss.
Yes.
Yeah, you like him? Okay,
Ugh.
this is interesting too.
I know.
'Cause I'm like, eh.
Am I into I wonder how old he is. He's
He's a little older
him
than
and Kevin Costner? Are we establishing a trend
like,
here?
Yeah, like older, like blondish, both of them.
One of them, yeah, blondish.
Tan, blonde, a little bit rugged, or a little bit GQ,
Yeah.
like that guy is. Interesting.
Yeah, he's hot.
Yeah, because I think Gabrielle, he's pretty cute.
Yeah, he is.
And it makes me want to go to France.
Really?
I've never been.
So I had a dream last night.
Here we go.
I got shipped to be a news anchor in Paris because
Really?
I've been watching Emily in Paris. And then
You must go now.
And then I was at a friend's house. I guess I have friends in Paris now.
Good.
And they were having like a cookout, and they wanted me to do the 6 o'clock news like live from their house. But no one would ever call me with like the Zoom link. I never got it. So I was like,
no.
Yes, this is like what happens when you're a grown up. And like, you know, used to dream about or have nightmares about oversleeping classes or whatever. Now, this is now my nightmare, I guess, that I'm not going to be somewhere I'm supposed to be like on television. Yeah. I'm not supposed to, I'm late.
In Paris at a barbecue.
In Paris at a barbecue.
You know
friends.
what? My dreams are similar. Like I think it might be I don't know if it's, we don't need to break it down, but I used to have the same dream with the ticket that I'd be like going through life and I'd hear the ticket ticker noise.
You're like,
and I'd be like at the grocery store and I'd have to go live and be like, yesterday the Rangers, but like have no idea what I'm talking about. That was my biggest fear. And I dreamt about that over and over and over and over. It would wake me up in my sleep.
That's scary.
So it's kind of similar.
It's similar.
Like, it's a little bit of your mind just always racing, trying to do a lot of different things.
Exactly. Okay, so Emily in Paris, we'll keep watching it. Give Yellowstone a try.
Okay, I'm going to try Yellowstone.
Especially if you can watch it with Kelly, but you have to catch up then.
I know. I think he and my parents watch it. My mom loves it and everything. So I think that's the one I need to try. Where do I find it?
Paramount.
Okay. I have that cool Apple clicker that you can talk to.
Oh,
the Apple TV.
Oh, fancy.
Well, my husband's a video guy.
This is true.
He prides himself on getting all these cool gadgets.
Okay. I'm so glad we did this. I'm glad. Yeah. Great episode.
Yeah.
I'm glad we ended with our therapy session.
We did.
It's very important to let everyone know. I had lunch with my girlfriends and my friend Lisa was like, you're stressing me out. The tension. It's not okay. It's not okay.
Really?
Like, cause she had seen the clips and stuff. I think she watched the show. She was like, oh, y'all are stressing me out with this tension.
Oh, how funny.
And I was like, we're going to handle it.
Well, and just lastly, we did talk about how we feel like everybody's kind of at that point with life, right? Like something that wouldn't normally bother you as much is really bothering you now. And we were both like, maybe came in here already on top of like the line, like if don't cross this line or I'm going to explode. And we were at that line when we got here. And I think a lot of people are. So give everybody grace.
Yes. Grant yourself grace.
Yes.
Fuses are short.
Short fuses.
Now.
I know.
Okay.
Spring's almost here though.
It is.
That makes me happy usually.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so huge episode next week. We can't reveal who will be here. 2 very special guests. They are a couple. We will say that. But super, super stoked for that. We're gonna have lots. Guest. It is a sport. He's very sportsy. And his lovely wife will join us as well, which I'm super stoked to talk to her. And so,
and that'll be 100.
It will be 100. And we're going to have lots of special stuff. Noble Vines is our sponsor, which means we'll have some vino in the hands. And we're really looking forward to it. So thanks for sitting in on our therapy session with us today. We're
Go
glad
have one
to
for
be
yourself.
back.
It'll make you feel
better. Yeah. Go out today and have yourself a therapy session. So thanks so much for being with us. We will see you next week on episode 100. In the meantime, it is Mom Game Out.